Hello, and welcome to Zorontology. Today will be a guide about gearing, part 4 of the Zorontology Legion guides. Now, gearing has a few ways I think it will go down, but this is kind of how I think it will go down. I'll tell you what possibilities are available. So you get to 110, and you have 3 means of obtaining gear. Effective gear. It is farming heroics, doing world quests, and mythic dungeons. Everything else outside of that will take time, more than just a 5-man group, and a bit more investment in terms of money, resource, and there were some quest chains to follow. I'm not saying that you don't do these, but at least at the start, try to focus on these 3 main key areas. Now, personally, I think when you hit 110, you should go out there and clean all the world quests, right? Some people tell you just do the artifact power one, just do the resource, just do the ones that look like they give you something worthwhile. Well, I'm on, at least for your main, declining that. I don't really agree. I want the rep, and the rep does have a benefit for gearing. And if you're on a group, doing world quests take no time. You're talking about an extra few minutes per map to just ensure everything is cleared, to gain that additional rep, get there quicker, and there are benefits to the rep. Now, I will go to the emissary for Val'sharah. There are similar rewards. Most of them give gear, 850 iron level gear, which is the equivalent to Emerald Nightmare normal. Now, to have this going into heroic can ensure, 1, you might just have a slot covered. 2, you might make that heroic one easier, more sufficient, give you more time throughout the weeks. Heroic just might be more tuned than you realize. We don't really understand how raiding is going to be at the start. We've only done beta testing. Numbers can go up, numbers can go down. Do you want to be in that position where you take a gamble? So I'm going to be one of those guys who tried to get exalted. Shouldn't be a problem. And I will fill some of my slots with 850 item level at the cost of what? 4.2k gold. Now, someone just turned me into a moonkin, so GG for that. There are other rewards, obviously, and one of them is more of a convenience than just a toy, pet, or armor. It's a shoulder enchant. Now, shoulder enchants don't provide any combat benefits. They give you rewards based on the shoulder enchant you put on. So the harvested goods here, this is a translation for herbalism. So when you kill mobs in a dungeon, in a raid, out in the world, anything that involves killing by you or your friends, you are able to loot a bag. And this bag will contain herbs if you have Boon of the Harvester on. Whereas you can see I have the Blood Hunter. When I receive this bag, inside my bag will be Blood of Sargeras, one of the main crafting materials. There are other shoulder enchants. I might have another shoulder with a different enchant. There you go, the Harvester, the Mana Seeker. Now, my Mana Seeker is for Suramar, where when I kill mobs, I can receive a bag that has Ancient Mana, which is the zone currency, which is quite important. And it can also have some enchanting mats, miscellaneous, like lace shards and some arcana dust. But deviating. So let's go back into gearing. So you have the option through rep, and the world quests themselves will give you items. So let's find a world quest that will give you gear. Alright, obviously none on this zone. Let's check Asuna. Alright, 835 legs. Now, these legs are actually quite good. I personally would actually go out there and want to do these legs, because one of them might good stats and they can proc Warforge or Titanforge, etc, etc. These item level rewards though, that are shown on the map, they scale to your current item level. So when you're 110, just freshly dinged, it's not going to be 835. The world quest will scale and snapshot your item level. 835 is the highest you'll see in blue rewards out in the world. There are epic rewards which either 5-man or they might even be PvP. Like as you can see, here's a quest for a mythic dungeon. This is actually a dungeon one. So it's telling me I will, no matter what difficulty I do this on, I will get an 840 mythic relic for my tank spec. So as you can see, this one's 825. So not all of them will be super high. They have like somehow played around with the item level of these world quests. It's constantly changing. But as you can see, look, another 835. So you kind of want to just like go for these 835 pieces. They can really, really help you out. And unfortunately today I don't have any more gear quests. Oh, there's an 835, but you know, it's not really doing anything. And then you have the world bosses. So the world bosses, I don't know how many will be up, and I don't know what is the restrictions of world bosses. From the beta's experience, I'm able to kill every world boss and loot every single world boss once a week, and their item level is above normal. It is 860, and if you compare 860, what does that equate to? That's 5 item levels less than heroic. So world bosses, you know, they can be really good. Some of them drop relics. Some of them drop really good relics. Like for me, this is actually really good for AoE. Obviously, AoE isn't, you know, amazing, but I have one that's also for single. So it's not like I'm not capable of getting ones that are good for a single target. There you go. That's my single target one. That's really good. And then you have some that have trinkets. As you can see, it's a really nice trinket. And then you got like different kinds of trinkets. So, you know, something like a Kazakh trinket. And obviously you got the other mythic items, you know. So world bosses are definitely a go. But let's get back to the starting point. So, you know, you want to just get your item level up, and the next time these world quests reset, they're going to scale by your item level. So you're able to obtain like 10, 15 item levels the next day. The thresholds are 815, 825, and then bam, you get the 835 gear once you're 825. And then you're pretty much smooth sailing. Heroic will become a distant memory, actually, for gearing. It will be more used for gaining artifact power. Now, you can Warforge and Titanforge at the start, but it is restricted down to a threshold. Nothing in the game at the start of the expansion until the Nighthold is opened will be able to exceed heroic item level by Titan forging. They will be capped to the item level of heroic, and that's being really lucky. Like some people might, oh, I've gotten Titan forged before. You know, it can happen. It really can happen. So don't rely on it. Don't, you know, plan around just getting Titan forge. If you get Titan forge, you know, congratulations. But don't be like, do you know what? Today I'm going to farm the same dungeon over and over, and I'm just going to hope to get Titan forge from this one particular boss for this one particular item. Now, I could get a Titan forge item, and I have gotten a Titan forge item. Here you go, 855 neck. Now, that's fantastic, right? You guys are like, whoa, 855 neck. That's almost like world boss level, and it's almost like 10 item levels behind heroic. So, you know, you guys are like, yeah, sure, but look, I got an 835 with a socket, and crit and mastery are my 2 stats. Crit's my main, mastery is my second. Now this one does have more mastery, but it has versatility, and there's no main stat on here, so the thing I'd be gaining is stamina. But hey, look, there's a socket on that, and that socket is going to outweigh anything that Titan Forge neck has. So, you know, if it had crit mastery, then yeah, it would be better. But it doesn't. So you can obviously get Titan Forge stuff for things you don't even want to wear. Like Mythic Warforge better braces. You know, bam, I got this today. And this is good. Let's put it on. But then you got like, hey, look. Again, this 845 neck. Again, the same deal. I just don't want those stats. That might be nice for off specs, you know. Obviously, this could be good for tanking. This could be good for tanking, you know. Like, you can get stuff for your off specs, you know. It is not impossible. As you can see, like I've actually gotten world boss gear. Alright, so that's Titan Forging. Once Night Holder's opened up, obviously the threshold, the roof of Titan Forge, it can go up. Warforge is 5 item levels, Warforge is 10 item levels. So Warforge can double over to be up to a maximum of 10. Once it exceeds 10, it becomes Titan Forge. And then Titan Forge, its roof is set by Blizzard. Moving on, Mythic Dungeons. Now, Mythic Dungeons to me is where the main source of your gear for pre-raiding is going to come from. Why do I say main source? Well, most of the gear is going to be a straight up upgrade. Most. Reason being, it's 840. Let's pick Violet Hold. And obviously it's epic. And it can also Warforge and Titan Forge. But again, the roof is set. And the best part about it is, when you do this kind of content, some people may realize that item level in particular slots might be stronger than others. Like I showed you, that neck didn't really play much of a factor. But if I look at relics now for me as a melee, if I want a Fel artifact to fill into one of my slots, it doesn't matter what the item level is. I'm going to want weapon levels, item levels. So don't look at the big number at the top. See, 840 is 40 item levels to my weapon. 850 is only 43. So 10 item levels on a relic might not be enough. And for the weapon itself, 3 item levels might not outweigh one of the main sources of my damage, which is, Chaos Strike, critical strike damage. So you kind of have to work out how good is item level to your skill bonuses. But at the same time, for some specs, that just might be a straight out, no matter what you have in your tree, item level is the way to go. So then there's that. And then obviously you got the trinkets at the bottom. Now, for me, this trinket is just ridiculous. If I'm one of those lucky guys to get a Chaos Talisman pre-raiding, and that thing Warforges or Titan Forges, I think it will take Mythic equivalent of Emerald Nightmare because of how well designed this trinket actually is for it to be replaced. Obviously there are other trinkets, but stuff like that's pretty shitty. And they don't really do much. But then we have 2 new instances, special kind of instance. I kind of see this as the Magus' Terrace of Burning Crusade, or the Charla Crusades, or the ICC trio dungeons, where they have like these cool things going to them, and that's the Archway and the Court of Stars, and they actually have set bonuses in a dungeon. Now let's find some of those set bonuses. Doesn't really do anything other than just chance to shoot out some additional fire damage when you fight demons only. Well, you're in a demon oriented expansion, but not everything is demon in the raid, so it is a bonus. That set bonus obviously isn't going to make it or break it. But then, as you can see, I have a neck, and this neck set bonus is it synergizes with my Chrono Shard, which gives me an additional 30% movement speed and 1000 haste. Now you're wondering, what is the Chrono Shard? Now, I've gone through the whole loot table and it's not here. What is the Chrono Shard? Well, funny enough, the set bonuses actually ping pong between the 2 dungeons. So the Chrono Shard is actually in the Archway, and it's just basically increasing the effect of this trinket when it procs to give me haste and movement speed. As you can see, it's a main stat trinket with a secondary prop. There are obviously different versions of set bonuses. Some are armor type based, so I have leather boots, so a plate user can't use these, or cloth user, if you want to lose 5% main stat, that is. I get like mastery for 15 seconds. I'll show you like a cloth orient. Let's go mage. Don't know what slot was. I think it was hands. Nope. Could be in the other dungeon. See, look. Oh, here we go. Helmet. Your spells have a chance to increase your haste. There's plate versions. There's all sorts. And you know, there's just versatility. And then there's also like items like this, maximum fury, pain, and obviously if you were like I don't know, a rogue, it'd be maximum energy. If you were a DK, maximum runic power. For healers, obviously maximum mana. You know, all that stuff kind of exists out there, but there's also really cool stuff, and this stuff I think is actually kind of overpowered because of its the roof it can go to later on, and that's stuff like quarter stars. There is a finger here. Increases your auto attack damage by 10%. That is insane. I know personally as a Fury Warrior, most of my damage is coming from auto attacks with Raging Glow right now. And 10%, if I can constantly come here every raid release and just get like a higher roof on Titan Forging, I can, you know, Jesus, I could probably use this in progress constantly. Same applies to the other items. So they're trying to keep 5-mans relevant. And obviously you want to like get into these dungeons. You want to do those, you know, every week until the rating comes out. And obviously, if your slots are empty, start looking into crafting gear. Crafting gear can only go up to 850 as well. It's stuck to the same level as normal. So if I can actually show you an example, I don't think I can. Actually, I can. Sorry, I'm a dual crafter. Ring starts off at 815. And then you've got something called Obliterum. Now, Obliterum is obtained by breaking down crafted items. Epic ones will give a better reward. And then you need to combine 100 Obliterum dust to make 1 Obliterum. And 1 Obliterum gives you 5 item levels. You can only apply Obliterum to an item 7 times for a maximum of 45 additional item levels. Sorry, 35 additional item levels, sorry. Which would make this, would make this 850. And obviously the cap and the threshold of that would go up per rating experience. So, you know, there's no limit to how many crafted items you can also wear. But also do take into note that when you craft these items, the stats are fully randomized. There is no item like you had in WoDs where you can reroll an item. So if I craft this ring, I'm going to always get crit. I will always get burst. I will always get haste. And I will always get mastery. But the thing is, this ring can proc mastery crit. This ring can proc crit mastery. So, you know, it's possible. So it might just work out for you to just buy the item because you see the correct stats and it's properly itemized. And you don't want to take a chance. Now, since we're here, I'll just give you guys something I have a lot of. Alright, I'll just do 2 of these. So we're gonna get 2 haste necks, further flare and aura. Now, yes, the lower ones can trigger into epic and higher item level. Ignore that. That does not apply to the higher ones. That's because these are 700 item level. See, again, I made 2 haste items and I got different stats. And yes, they came with a socket. Jewelry, it comes with sockets when you craft them. So that's kind of like a nice benefit. So that's gearing and that's professions. There are some other profession perks out there, which I will get into later on. I'll get more into professions in the next video. But as for gearing, TLDR, you want to do your world quests, you want to do heroics, and then you want to like get the mythics done. But mythics also come with quests, which are obtained through your order hall table. There's stuff like this, Vial of the Swirling Shadow, Carved Shell. Now, the Swirling Shadow is going to take you to Blackrook Hold, if I'm correct. Or it could take you to Vault of the Wardens, I can't remember. But this one, obviously, is no-brainer. This is Eye of Ashara. I've got, obviously, no more here. But as you can see, I've got 2 quests here. And they're given to me by these items in my bag. I've got the Drained Mana Orb that wants me to go to the Archway. I've got the Corrupted Egg Fragment that wants me to go to Dark Heart Thicket. Now, why would I want to do these quests? Now, you gotta remember, Mythic is locked. You can only do Mythic once a week, so you can't go back in there because you'll be locked. So you also got like put planning into this. you'll have like these caches, which give you a mythic item in this crate. These items come Warforged, Titanforge, etc., etc. I got one before, but I replaced it. I think, yeah, I don't have it anymore because it was crappy stats. I ended up replacing it with the correct stats, but you know, that's just luck. That's just the way you draw the straws. So you have got these quests, and the second time around in the second reset, so after the first week of Legion, I personally recommend holding on to all your mythic dungeons. Get as many of these quests, and then just smack them out in the last few days. You know, stock them up. You'll have some stocked up from the first week because obviously you want to get the mythic dungeons done as soon as possible so they scale up your world quests ASAP. And then there's this thing about Mythic Plus. Now, Mythic Plus hasn't been confirmed when it's coming out. The latest tweet says Mythic Plus will come later with raiding. Now, we don't know if that's heroic raiding, and we don't know if that's mythic raiding. So far, the information's been up and down, vague, and not really, you know, clear. And obviously, we don't even know when the raids themselves are coming out. So, as for now, this is the current recommended path I believe you should take with gearing. Is world questing, obviously heroics to bump up your item level to make world questing more, you know, better rewarding, and do mythic dungeons to boost the item level and fill those slots with 840 items. And then you got the crafting gear, which you should, you know, is your go-to later on. And then you have the rep items, which you should also follow through, and I recommend for you to do. Because you think about it, doing the rep items is a lot cheaper than having to spend a lot of money on crafting gear. Like, you saw 4,000 gold on the vendor was for 850. Well, crafting gear, you can expect that to be like 50 to over 100k, over 100, maybe 200k. Gold threshold goes really, really high in Legion. There are a lot of gold missions and rewards out there. Let me just see if I can find you one quickly. You know, we're talking like hundreds of gold just given to like 322 gold just to go kill one guy. You know, there's just gold being thrown at you, and I used to have like missions all over the place for this gold. But 164 gold. This is solo as well. Then you got some of these epic ones, 142 gold there as well. And this is per character. Look, 79 gold. All I have to do is just go kill stuff, get the rep, and I'm being paid. This is quite literally your garrison right here. Just, you know, getting money for doing essentially nothing. Another gun there, 110 gold. So I've almost got 1,000 gold just in one set of world quests. So you can assume money is gonna go up. So this has been a guide about gearing. If there's any questions, throw it in the comment section or hit me up on the forums or in game. I'll see you guys in the next video about professions. And then finally after that, I got a giant TLDR with tips and extra stuff that you might want to just like take into consideration and utilize. But as always, thanks for watching and have a nice day.